Bro, you're basically like Delta Force, and you're worried about this little girl who is skinny, weak, can hardly do 20 push-ups. Are you serious right now? You are what I call podcast jockeys, the kind of person who just listens to podcasts, takes notes, and then doesn't get the results he really wants. It's like seeing a dude who's hammering in a nail, and he keeps hitting his thumb, and you're like, dude, just do this thing, and he won't listen to you. In order to win that battle, quote unquote, you need to train. You need to be prepared. You need to control for the variables you can control. Don't hate the messenger, hate the game. This is how chicks work. You have to solve for status. A 10 wants a guy who's a 10 himself. I've literally had girls beg me to hang out with them, go home with them, suck my dick in the bathroom upstairs. If you want that, all it takes is letting her know that you are the prize.
Welcome to the Unapologetic Man Podcast, the only podcast that's all about self-improvement, confidence, success, women, and being a man without making any apologies for it.
What is up, you champions? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. And today, boys, I am going to deliver the goods, the way to get 10s, how to yank your dream girl, how to get the hottest girls on the planet. I have a lot of really good information to give here. I'm going to kind of go all over the place, right? It's not going to stay just in one vein. I'm going to give you lots of random tips as well as even ways to meet girls, to be in the company of 10s so that you can actually start to attract them. We have a lot of content to get through, boys, so let's go ahead and jump into the podcast. So first of all, guys, I want to give you guys props for listening to this podcast. I know I give you guys a lot of shit for being what I call podcast jockeys, the kind of person who just listens to podcasts, takes notes, and then doesn't get the results he really wants. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I have to respect that you are working on yourself in this way. So even if you won't come into my 3-month coaching program, I still think you're a fucking champion. I'm a little bit hard on you guys because it's like seeing a dude who's hammering in a nail and he keeps hitting his thumb and you know the solution to it and you're like, dude, just do this thing, and he won't listen to you. That's kind of the way I feel when you guys aren't signing up for my 3-month coaching program. I know for a lot of you, the excuse is money. I know that you think you can't afford it. I do have different packages, but again, if you're not going to apply and you're just simply listening to the podcast, I still respect you. You're doing the right thing. And that goes into my first point, right? You have to train. Now, obviously, you guys have heard me say that you have to implement, but training is also important. So while you might be a podcast jockey, I still want to give you props because you need to be prepared. What I always say to my clients is prior preparation prevents poor performance. You have to know what you're going to do. You have to execute very deliberately. And like I said in a recent episode that got a lot of love, a lot of people email me about this. I said, bro, you're basically like Delta Force, and you're worried about this little girl who's like an ISIS fighter or a Taliban fighter who is skinny, weak, can hardly do 20 push-ups, and you're Delta up in this motherfucker. You're like Rembrandt with a hand grenade, and you're intimidated by this girl. Are you serious right now? But some of you guys haven't trained. You've only listened to maybe a few of my episodes, or perhaps this is your first episode that you listen to. You need to go get that information. You need to be prepared. And literally, when you start dating girls, I want you to have a piece of paper in your pocket with a list of everything you're going to talk about so that you are prepared, so that you can execute effectively. Here's the way the military works, and this is why, in my opinion, the United States military, especially tier 1 units like Delta, SEAL Team 6, etc., are so successful. First of all, they stack the chips in their favor, which I'm going to talk about more in this episode. Stay tuned. I have some really good tips where that's concerned. But secondly, they train. If you're out training your enemy, if you're working harder than your enemy is, you are going to get success. Now, obviously, we don't look at women as the enemy, quote unquote, but they are kind of the opponent, aren't they? It's a little bit you against her, especially in the beginning. Can you get her attracted to you? That's kind of the frame that she's setting down. Now, the frame that we set down is, can she make us attracted to her? But ultimately, it is a little bit of a contest, isn't it? There's frame control, there's bantering. She's going to give you some shit. She's basically seeing if you're the kind of guy that she wants to get attracted to. So in order to win that battle, quote unquote, you need to train. You need to be prepared. You need to control for the variables you can control. which means, do I have frame control locked down? Have I worked on my inner belief systems? Have I worked on my body language, my tonality? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? What if she says this? What would I do there? What if she does that? What if an obstacle comes in? What if she's in a group of guys or in a group of girls where there's a fridge protecting the snacks, which basically is the cock block, the fat girl who is the fridge protecting the snacks? You need to prepare for all these variables. Then what you need to do is let go for those things that you can't control. And this is what the military does. Delta, for example, which I know a lot of you guys like that example. You're a Delta Force operator, right? You train, you lift weights, you're in the kill house, you're doing CQB, you understand your firearms, you understand your grenades, you understand all the things that you and your boys need to do. But ultimately, if a fighter comes out of the door when you just happen to be looking right rather than left at the door that he's coming out of, you could get killed. There are variables you cannot control. Going into war is like walking through a rainstorm. If you make it through, invariably there was some luck. It's the same thing with women. There's luck involved, boys. There's fate, in my opinion, involved, and sometimes things are going to go wrong. Part of your training needs to be that you could suck it the fuck up when you get rejected or when things get awkward. In a previous episode, I talked about the benefit of social pressure, that disgusting feeling you get within yourself when, say, for example, you get rejected. You need to lean into that and accept it because it's gonna happen. What do they say to dudes who ride motorcycles? It's not if you're going to get into a crash, it's when you're going to get into a crash. So you dress for the crash, you don't dress for the ride, and it's the same thing with women. You have to get ready for that fucking crash, but you can control that variable in a way where you're okay with being rejected because you've worked on yourself and you're internally motivated. You're no longer relying on her accepting you or relying on her telling you that you're good looking or a good pickup artist. You don't give a shit what she thinks. So you're controlling for the variable of rejection. But again, there's things you can't control. So eventually, after you train, after you've been that podcast jockey, right in the podcast Kentucky Derby, you say to yourself, listen, I've trained enough. I've taken all these notes. I improved my haircut. I plucked my unibrow. I plucked the nose hairs out of my nose. And I'm just going to get out there and start implementing because no amount of training can control those unknown variables. And this goes into my next point. You have to get into an immersion phase versus a maintenance phase. A lot of you guys, especially those podcast jockeys, are what I call maintenance phase gurus. You guys are just taking little bits, trying to improve your game. Hey, maybe it's not super important to you to be able to attract hotter girls than you can now. Maybe it's not super important to you to meet your dream woman and be able to marry her because, and I do stand by this, one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is who you fucking marry. If you marry the wrong girl, as a lot of you guys know, she will blow out your life like no tomorrow. And I have seen so many instances of that from clients, both present and previous. Women have the ability to ruin your life, but a good woman can also support you and ameliorate your life, make your life better. But still, if you're kind of like, yeah, I'll meet her, it's not a big deal, and you're in this maintenance phase, you're not really going to get that much improvement. This is why I love my 3-month coaching program where we get into an immersion phase. You need to get almost obsessed with this shit where you're super curious about it. It's a hobby of yours. You're in deep immersion mode. And sometimes, yeah, you even have to put certain things off like your other hobbies, maybe even lifting weights as much as you lift weights, where you just totally immerse yourself into dating women, as I did when I lived in Arizona, literally going on multiple dates a day, 7 days a week, and nothing but gaming to get good at this. If you want to 10, you have to develop the skill set. Now you have to ask yourself, how much am I willing to invest into this? Am I willing to put 5 hours into it? Which, by the way, is the amount of hours that I request from my clients when they come into my program. But what if they put 10 hours into it, 15 hours a week, 20 hours a week? Or like me, I was literally doing 60 hours a week. It was my full-time job because I got an inheritance from my grandmother and I had a year to just live off of that. And all I did was game girls. That dictates the speed of your progression. So you need to ask yourself, how much am I willing to put into this? What is a 10 to me? Is it just like a really hot girl who has a good heart, which is the same thing for me, bro? I just wanted a really attractive girl who I love having sex with, who's just a good fucking person. So you need to decide, what's a 10 to me? How can I get her? How much work do I think it's going to take to get her? And then immerse yourself in that. And that too is what I love about my program. I know I'm always talking about it, but I love it. I believe in it. It's an immersion phase. I request 5 to 10 hours a week from my boys. They put that in. They get this part of their life solved. Now they can go meet their dream girl and become that success that they all want to become. So you need to ask yourself, how much am I willing to immerse? And brothers, you have to immerse. If you want to get that 10, if you want to get that dream girl, whatever it is to you, you have to immerse yourself in this shit. Number 3, every day you have to do something that sucks. I talked about this in a previous episode. You have to put social pressure on yourself. You have to get outside your comfort zone. There is no progress in your comfort zone. Progress comes when you step outside your comfort zone. And you need to ask yourself, be deliberate about this. And this is something I'm really good at. I'm very good at thinking through the variables and solving for problems based on deliberate action. What do I need to do to get to that level? Okay, well, probably like once a day, I need to do a direct approach, for example. And a direct approach, of course, is, hey, I thought you were cute, had to come meet you. My name's Mark. What's up? What's your name? Oh, hey, what's up, Kelly? Good to meet you. So, hey, has anybody ever approached you so directly? And she'll say, yeah, a couple times. And then you'll say, and did you kick those guys in the face? Am I in danger here? Should I back up? And then that's your direct approach. When you do it, you're nervous, but it's just putting yourself outside your comfort zone that much where you're growing consistently. And that's the thing too about podcast jockeys. It's easy to hide behind the podcast. It's easy to just listen to episodes and take notes and continuously try to improve yourself via knowledge. Meanwhile, telling yourself, once I get more knowledge, then I'll be ready. Eventually, you need that implementation, and that includes doing shit that sucks. In a previous episode, I also talked about how you should put social pressure on yourself, purposely embarrassing yourself to endure social pressure, because when that stunner is standing in front of you with her angelic eyes, perfect teeth, thigh gap, flat tummy with the belly button ring, and perfect perky tits, you're going to freeze up if you haven't implemented. All the knowledge in the world, all the lines in the world won't cover up what's lacking in your self-esteem, what's lacking in your game. So you need to get out there, practice the shit as I discussed in a previous episode. Get outside your comfort zone every day. Do something that sucks every day. Do something that makes that heart beat. All right, the next one, boys, and we're changing gears a little bit here, as I said we would do, is to put yourself in socially powerful positions. Now, a lot of you know that I was a bouncer for 5 years. I have never seen the amount of girls throwing themselves at me outside of when I go to nightclubs with my 3 hot friends than when I was a bouncer. Girls would literally line up, and I know I've said this a lot. I don't want to brag, but I'm just trying to illustrate to you the power of position. Girls would line up to talk to me, not necessarily like in a queue, but there'd be like one here, one there, and they all wanted to talk to me. And I was literally, for all intents and purposes, getting more ass than a toilet seat. And I can choose a girl who doesn't have a therapist, who hasn't quite figured out her pill combination yet, right? Like these psychopaths that I know a lot of you guys have dealt with. I get emails every day where guys are like, dude, this girl just completely turned my life into a dumpster fire. And you want that choice. So putting yourself in a socially powerful position, whether it's a bouncer, a bartender, a yoga instructor, or any of the hundreds, literally hundreds of ideas that I give my boys when they come into my program. When you get yourself in that socially powerful position, you're now stacking the chips in your favor. What is it about Delta Force that makes them so effective? They train, they're the best at what they do, but they also stack the chips in their favor. They don't go attack the Taliban house in the middle of the day when all the sentries are watching and ready for them to come. They sneak in at night. They don't talk to be as quiet as possible. And I always like to watch like tier 1 videos and about experiences these guys had. They would challenge each other to like walk up to a Taliban fighter, put their finger on his lips. And as he wakes up, they're like, shh. Can you fucking imagine, bro? Your enemy sneaks into your house while you're sleeping and he literally puts his finger to your lips and he's like, be quiet. I'm here. And he's got nods on, those like 4 tubes that come out so they can see at night. That's Delta level shit. And that's what you are. You're getting trained. You're learning more than she'll ever know. Chicks don't know about frame control. Chicks don't know about the 4 pillars of attraction, the 80-100 rule, what to talk about, how to elicit emotions, female psychology. They don't even know what makes them tick. They just tick. They just act that way because it's innate within them. But you know, so you have the advantage. They also haven't trained the way you have, but they also are attracted to status. And no matter how much you guys try to fight it and hate on me because I tell you to get into a status position, this shit works. Don't fucking hate the messenger. If you hate the game, then hate the game. This is what works, yo. You have to get into a status position, whether it's social status position or whether you do it through your job. You need to be in that status position. I'm going to give you some ideas for how to do that. But again, I was a bouncer. I literally had 5 letters written on my back, STAFF, staff, and girls would throw themselves at me. Why? Because I was supposedly in a high status position. They would get attracted to me. But you can do it even with just hot friends around you. If I have you go up to a nightclub, stand in line, pay cover, go up to the bar and buy a drink, meanwhile talking to the hot girl next to you, you're going to get way less results as opposed to if I put my 3 hot friends on your arm, got you in front of the line, maybe even got you a table, and now you have way more status in the nightclub. I know it's shallow, boys. I know you don't want to do this shit. You don't have to do the nightclub thing. There's many other ideas I teach my boys, but being in the status position is one of the most important ways to get a fucking 10. And again, whatever a 10 means to you, I can guarantee you, a 10 to me is probably different than the 10 to you. I like certain things. You like certain things. If you want that girl, solve for that girl. How do I get her? And guys, some of you are thinking, well, my girl isn't a nightclub girl who gets all dressed up and tries to be hot in the nightclubs because those girls just want attention and they only want rich guys anyway. My girl's a nice homebody girl who reads books and she's very studious, but she's really attractive and hot as hell. Don't get it twisted, brother. You still need status for that girl. You still need to flip the attraction hot switches in her head, which show her that you're a high status man. Even if you're just high status within her book reading club or high status in the yoga studio, whatever your girl is, you need to be at the top tier of her social ranking so that she can get attracted to you. Here's how it works. Women's social value is based on their looks. We all know it. People get butthurt about it. It's not fair, man. But again, don't hate the messenger. Hate the game if that pisses you off. Women's status is completely and utterly their looks. Maybe a little bit their personality, their femininity, but come on, boys. We all know how it works. And anybody who's delusional enough to deny that is a fucking moron. You know how it works. Her status is her looks. Guy's status, on the other hand, is things like social power, athleticism, being a famous actor, even sometimes being rich, being successful, being a CEO. It's status in society. You have to solve for status. How can I have status in a group environment that she's a part of? Either you run a club of some kind, you are the leader of something, you are the guy who teaches the yoga class, you're the scuba instructor, for example, you're the dance instructor, or you're the bouncer like I was, where I was the high status dude in that environment, therefore all the hot chicks get attracted to me. You can also solve for that by having hot chicks with you, which is my next point. If you have no hot girls, you have no status, then what I would do if I were in your situation is leverage Instagram. Here's what I would do straight up. I'm a dude who lives in fucking buttfuck Egypt, Kansas. There's some hot girls in the city. Maybe I live in a city of like 500,000 or a million. I don't know. Okay. I'm in buttfuck Egypt. I don't have status. I don't have game. I don't know what I'm doing. This is exactly what I would do. I would start an Instagram. I would buy followers. I would get it to at least 10,000 followers. Doesn't matter who they are. And you can buy followers anywhere. I don't suggest using bots. I instead suggest using services that basically run campaigns to promote your page for people to follow it. And you spend like $500, $1,000, you can get 10,000 followers. I do this for my clients in my 3-month coaching program. I teach them how to do it. Unfortunately, if you're not a client of mine, please don't email me asking me for that info. It's privy only to my clients. But you fill up your IG with 10,000 followers. I know it's shallow. I'm the first guy to say this is so shallow and so stupid. I hate this, but we have to do it. Again, don't hate the messenger, hate the game. This is how chicks work. You get 10,000 followers on your IG. Then what you do is you go to Model Mayhem or you go to seeking.com and you hire 3 hot girls. Maybe give them $300 each, maybe $500 to come out with you for 5 hours. You guys take 1 billion pictures. You go to the nightclubs. You have 3 chicks with you. In the meantime, you're getting attraction from other girls because you have high social status, and you ask them to follow you on Instagram. Once you get all the pictures back from the photographer that you hire or your friend who came out with an iPhone, you start posting that shit to Instagram, you with other girls, in addition to pictures of you living a high-value lifestyle. Then you DM the girls who you met and you start getting dates. You leverage that by taking pictures with new friends that you meet via this Instagram strategy, and you build up your social status just that easy. Now, obviously, I say it's just that easy. It's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take an investment. It's going to take some time to build it. But brother, you want a 10. You're essentially raiding the Taliban's jail, trying to free American prisoners, and you're in a Delta Force group, but like you want to half-ass it. You want the shortcut. The shortcut, of course, is my 3-month coaching program, but even there, you have to do work. You have to face your bullshit. You have to solve for success, setting yourself up so that you're more trained than she is, you know more than she does, you understand the dynamics better than she does, but in addition to that, you put yourself in a socially high-status role where she invariably gets attracted to you just based on your value. If I take you and put you in the nightclub, and then take you and put you in the nightclub with 3 hot girls, who looks better? Brother, you look 10 times better if you have that. And if you want 10s, you almost have to have pre-selection. A 10 wants a guy that other girls want. A 10 wants a guy who's a 10 himself, who is socially savvy, who is successful, who takes care of himself, who's that tier 1 dude because she's a tier 1 girl. And if you want that, it's going to take an immersion phase, man. I'm your Uncle Mark Singh, and I'm going to cut it to you straight. I'm not going to bullshit you. It's going to take some work. Now, 3 months, come into my program, I will get you those results. Pretty good deal if you ask me. 5 hours a week. It's like, come on, dude. Do you not honestly have that much time to put into this to meet your dream girl? Now, a few other tips, boys. A good pickup artist focuses on his state. A great pickup artist focuses on her state. And this, too, gives precedence to the value of training. When you train in the beginning, you're focusing on your state. Do I feel good? How's my voice? How's my body language? Am I saying funny things? What should I say? Should I write down everything I'm going to talk about on a piece of paper so I can have it on the first date? Once you get it mastered, you don't need that paper anymore. You don't need to think about your body language. You don't need to wonder, is my tone going down rather than up? You don't need that shit because you've worked hard. You've practiced. You've been in the immersion phase. Now you start focusing on her state. How's she feeling? Where's her attraction at? How can I get her more attracted? What do I need to say here? Do I need to build more rapport, trust, comfort, connection? Or should I kind of tease her a little bit, push her away, be a challenge? How should I flip-flop that? How should I react to what she said? How should I maybe punish what she said? Be disagreeable with what she said. Lead her to where she wants to be led. To get a 10, you need to be focused on her state. But before you could do that, you need to be focused on your state. It's kind of like the Delta operator, right? He's been in the kill house so many times. He's practiced CQB so many times. He doesn't need to think about pieing a corner. What he needs to do is pie the corner just based off of instinct and be able to identify that person's state. Are they a hostage or are they a threat? Are they carrying an umbrella or is that an AK-47? And they're focused fully on them, knowing that they have taken care of themselves. And that's what you need to do too. And finally, boys, a couple tips just to leave you with. I want you to go listen to some of my podcasts to really get this training thing down. First of all, as I always say, frame control. You need to understand it as good as what you understand most in your life right now. Whatever your profession is, you're Delta in that profession, right? You mechanics out there, you can fix a car with your eyes closed. You drivers out there, you know how to drive a vehicle. What you're looking for is threats. What you're trying to do is make certain times. You're external once you have everything internally solved, and you need to be that way with frame control. Secondly, you need to understand the 80-100 rule. Thirdly, you need to deploy pre-selection. As I talked about, when you have other girls with you, girls will become attracted to you. And the last one, don't get hyped on one girl, boys. Even if she is a 10 in your eyes, don't get it twisted. There's plenty of 10s out there. She is not the only one. She's not a unique snowflake. And there's abundance of women. Once you get game it's like an avalanche of women throwing themselves at you. Just like when I was a bouncer, lines of girls waiting to talk to me, come out with me, begging me to hang out with them. I've literally had girls beg me to hang out with them, go home with them, suck my dick in the bathroom upstairs. If you want that, all it takes is an immersion phase. And most importantly, getting it down to where your state is solved. You're good. You don't even need to focus at all on you. You could focus fully on her and letting her know that you are the prize. So boys, I know I threw a lot at you, but think about this. If you want your dream girl, and I know you do, all it takes is you doubling down on yourself, investing yourself, and putting time into this shit. Stack the chips in your favor. Be Delta. Don't go to the ISIS jail where they're holding American prisoners during the day. Attack that shit at night. Sneak in, put your finger on their lip and be like, shh, as you raid that shit because you've stacked the chips so much in your favor. It's the same thing at the nightclubs. Don't go stand in line, pay cover, buy drinks for chicks. Be that dude who thinks outside the box. Use your fucking head, bro. That gray matter between your two ears and figure out how can I leverage this shit. I understand via the Mark Singh podcast that I need to be high value. I need to have frame. I need to be perceived socially above her in order for her to become attracted to me. How could I leverage that? Where do the girls that I want hang out? How can I be high status in that position? How can I go into it with the upper hand knowing more than she does about seduction? How can I control the variables I can control via my training and let go of the rest and know that I will be comfortable even if shit goes badly? If you can get there, boys, you will attract the hottest girls in the world. You will get fucking tens, and you'll be able to settle down with your dream girl, a girl who's going to support you to become the next best version of yourself and to get the success and happiness that I know all you guys want. I super appreciate you listening, gentlemen. As a reminder, I draw a podcast on Mondays and Thursdays, so please stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you in the next episode.